KFI AM 640.
This is Mo Kelly Show on KFI AM 640. Earlier this week, actress Ashley Judd posted a tweet during the SEC basketball tournament alleging that the Arkansas Razorbacks team was playing dirty against her alma mater, the Kentucky Wildcats. And the ensuing hateful and derogatory tweets have led Judd to say she'll now begin suing offenders.
If I were in a more calm state of mind, I would phrase differently. I might have said, I feel really disappointed with what seems ultra-aggressive play. Instead, what I wrote, I think Arkansas is playing dirty.
Judd responded to the hateful comments on Twitter by reposting them. The remarks containing language so vulgar, we could not show them on our broadcast.
Everyone needs to take personal responsibility for what they write and not allowing this misinterpretation and shaming culture on social media to persist. By the way, I'm pressing charges.
Also, Brian Glicklich, chair of the digital practice at Citric & Company and spokesman for the Rush Limbaugh Show, penned an editorial in USA Today which outlined the pervasive, abusive behavior and how Twitter has abdicated its responsibility to do something about it. Brian joins me now on the program. Brian, it's good to talk to you again. How you doing, man?
Good, Bo. How are you? Thanks.
I'm good. I saw your editorial in USA Today, and I was reading it, and I was agreeing with it, and I was saying, hallelujah, someone, and then it wasn't until I got to the byline and saw it was you. I have to commend you for writing it. What spurred you on?
Twitter is a free fire zone for hate speech. It's a cesspool. They have the tools that they need to fix it. They just don't have the will. And right now, malevolent cyber thugs are just running free there, targeting anybody and anything they want to, whether it's Ashley Judd, whether it's Kurt Schilling, whether it's me, whether it's Rush Limbaugh for political purposes. It's just a free fire zone, and somebody has to clean it up.
This is a great point that you made in your editorial. Quote, while my own issue is important certainly to me, it is also common in my work for other clients, and it's not a right-left political issue. It's pervasive and begs for more involvement from Twitter. How is Twitter going to do something about it, or what do you recommend for them to do?
Twitter could fix this problem quickly, and they know they need to also. Dick Costolo, their CEO, has sent around internal memos in recent weeks saying that he knows that they're terrible at dealing with this. He said, frankly, that they suck at it, and he knows that they have to fix it because this problem is driving away users. The core of the problem that they've got is right now it's easy for small gangs of users who are aligned with each other to game their system and cause people to either be suspended or be targeted for hate in ways that make it impossible for them to respond. Twitter could fix the problem by making a transparent process that looks at people who organize together and renders them impotent and unable to speak this kind of hate speech.
Everything you're saying, I agree with. Everything you're saying makes sense, but I'm not so sure that Twitter has any real motivation to do the right thing. How can we put pressure on Twitter to do anything that you've recommended?
You have hit the nail exactly precisely on the head, because everything that they do would cause some of the redundant accounts with people who have dozens or hundreds of fake accounts that they ping tweets back and forth from to be reduced. It would cause their tweet volume to drop. But the simple reality is that the easiest way to put pressure is to recognize that right now Twitter is unsafe for business. Twitter is a $23 billion company, and its entire business valuation is based on their ability to sell advertising. If businesses recognize that based on the anonymity of people posting hate and any other kind of malevolent speech they want, it's not a business-friendly zone, Twitter will do something about it fast.
If you just joined the program, I'm speaking with Brian Glicklich, chair of the digital practice at Citric & Company and spokesman for the Rush Limbaugh Show. And that begs the obvious question, how do you draw the line between speech which is controversial or even quote-unquote offensive, but has crossed the line into absolute or outright hatred?
I'm in the free speech business, and I think people should have a wide latitude to express themselves regardless of what their opinions are, where they fall politically, socially, or otherwise. That's not really a question. That's fair game. It's when they team up in order to target people for intimidation, for harassment. It's when I see tweets from people saying that if this business won't listen to me, won't heal to my demands, I want dozens or hundreds of tweets from you to intimidate them. It's when charities that are using advertising simply to raise money to prevent autism, to cure cancer, when they're targeted and have to use their phone staff to deal with Twitter harassment that turns to phone calls, that's when it goes too far. When it turns into threats of physical violence, that's when it goes too far. I don't think we can talk about it in the abstract, but I think Twitter needs a better system to separate one from the other. Right now, if you have a complaint of something that somebody says about you on Twitter, all you can do is send a report to an anonymous machine that looks at it based on an algorithm and decides whether to do something about it, and even that takes days. There's no appeal. There's nobody to call. There's nobody to email. There's no way to get escalated if you've been seriously threatened or harmed by something said there.
It could be fair, or I should say we can be fair and say Twitter might be worse than other social media sites, but not necessarily different from others. We know that there are fake accounts and harassing accounts on Instagram or Vine or Facebook. We can run that list. Why is it that there has been so much focus on Twitter specifically as opposed to these other social media sites?
There's 2 or 3 different reasons, Mo. One is simply that Twitter does make it easier to open up anonymous accounts for speech. Facebook, while you can do it, it's much more complicated and difficult to do. Twitter also makes it easy to open up lots of accounts in a short period of time, and they publish a programming specification called an API that makes it easy for people to write software that automatically sends tweets. What I've seen in many of the activist issues I've been involved in is that these activists use illicit software that's illegal under the Twitter rules to automatically ping-pong tweets all over the place so they can make themselves look much bigger and more prominent than they actually are. Many times they're just a couple of dozen people who found each other from across the country trying to look like they're thousands or tens of thousands, and Twitter helps them do that.
Are we at critical mass or are we close to critical mass? And I ask that because now that Twitter is a publicly traded a company, how soon before this issue actually affects the stock price and the bottom line?
I think it's going to take a real commitment from Twitter's very senior management. Dick Costolo is saying the right things, but they're not doing the right things. I sent a letter to Twitter's general counsel with 18 pages of examples of violations of their rules that are harming small businesses all over the country, and it's been 2 months, and I can't even get the courtesy of an acknowledgement that they've read my letter, much less acting on it. So something's going to have to change there. I don't know exactly what it is, but I think it is going to happen soon.
But you know how social media works, and even though you may send a direct letter, a personal letter, we all know that your USA Today piece, which was also picked up by the Detroit Free Press, probably because it was shared and liked, has more of an impact than your direct letter. Would you agree?
I agree 100%, and I encourage anybody who's interested in the issue to get out there and make their own voices heard. You know, a small number of people who each have a couple hundred followers that start talking to them on Twitter, on Facebook, and elsewhere and saying, I want my children protected from hate speech. I do not want to see hate speech directed at race. I do not want to see it directed at religion. I do not want to see it directed at politics. And asking people to join with them can make an enormous difference in making this go away.
He is Brian Glicklich, chair of the digital practice at Citric & Company and spokesperson for the Rush Limbaugh Show. We will have his letter posted on our website at KFIAM640.com, keyword Mo. Brian, I've known you for years, worked with you even for a few years, and I appreciate all you do. Let's make sure we continue to follow this issue and continue to put this pressure on.
Thanks so much, Mo. I really appreciate it, and it's great to talk to you again.